Vaccines. Vaccines are very important. They're important because we inject in our kids substances that we don't even know what ingredients are in there. They're important because we we build our future upon them. All scientists claim that vaccines are safe, and if parents don't use them, there is bigger risks for their children. So vaccines undergo so many checks and safety regulations. The FDA approved and continually monitor them for safety and for clear them. Parents would choose not to vaccinate their kids, often due to avoid the risk, but there is bigger risks if they don't do it. Why do we have to add the ingredients in those vaccines? What is actually in the vaccines and what is their job? Our immune system is built on one way. When a virus attacks us, our cells make antibodies. Those antibodies, they are in our bloodstream, but they cannot attack the foreign bacteria in us so fast. So we get the symptoms from one disease. Once our body fights those diseases, those antibodies will stay in our bloodstream during our whole life. That is the base, how the vaccines are built as well. They take the bacteria, sometimes it's a live bacteria, in some cases it's a dead bacteria. They use different metals and antibiotics, and they make the vaccines. They use, in the case of the MMRI, they use the dead bacteria, and they add aluminum, and they add thimerosal, which is actually metal for another name for the mercury that is in the vaccines. So, but it's in so little amount that is not bad for the human body. Definitely, vaccines are built on the idea of bringing those antibodies into our bodies without having the bad side effect from the diseases. They're not supposed to make us have seizures. They're not supposed to make us get sick. So vaccines are actually beneficial for us. What is happening in the last 25, 30 years, it's actually dangerous. Our statistics have said something totally different. According to the US Food and Drug Administration, safety assessments for vaccines have not often included toxicity studies because vaccines have been not viewed as inherently toxic. Yet, vaccines are legally defined as unavoidably unsafe. In the 70s and 80s, there used to be 5 to 10 vaccinations during your whole life. Nowadays, before a child goes to kindergarten, there's 49 of them. We vaccinate our kids with 15 different vaccines before they even start going to kindergarten. And the statistics, of course, are looking totally so much different today. In the 90s, autism rates have soared from 1 in 10,000 in 1990 until 1 in 68 today. 1 in 6 children in the US has a learning disability. Over 50% suffer from some type of chronic illness. Of course, pharmaceutical companies is the only company that has no liability. They have totally the political umbrella from the Congress, and you cannot go and sue them under the Act of the Injury Vaccine Act. Barbara Fisher, the president of the National Vaccine Information Center, says that there are not enough studies how safe vaccines are. There have not been studies for safety of the synergetic effects of the vaccines. So you mix one metal and we know what it does to our body. We mix antibiotic and we know what it does to our body. But when we take bacterial, a metal, and antibiotic, we actually don't know what can happen to our children, why there are so many diseases nowadays. Pharmaceutical companies spend far more than any other industry to influence politicians. Drug makers have poured close to 2.5 billions into lobbying and funding members of the Congress. And they have sponsored more than 60% of their political campaigns in the past years. And they're the only company that doesn't have any liability for their actions. And they did that a few years ago to try to help themselves because there were so many claims going after them. By the year of 2020, the pharmaceutical company value is going to be over $65 billion worth. That is a lot. So parents should vaccinate their kids legally or through consequences. The choice is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, finish, Christina.
I am